There's really only three things I want you to focus on when we talk about soil testing. I want you to look at your pH. I want you to look at your macronutrients in relation to MLSN, which we'll get to. And then I also want you to look at CEC. That's what this video is about. We're going to help break that down. And I'm also, if you can stick around to the end, I'm going to point you to the best resources to use to get the appropriate soil test for your region. All right, let's get it. Okay, let's start with the easier one. At least I think it's easy. And it's going to be your pH. I'll throw this chart up here for you. And pretty straightforward. The more acidic your soil profile is, the less availability they're going to have to macronutrients. But, I mean, they'll be rolling in iron, keeping the money green. So, like, you'll have your micronutrients that are pretty readily available, but on the right side of the chart, that's where all your macronutrients sit. So, the more alkaline we get, the more availability we have to those macronutrients. But then we lose a little bit on the left side, right? Those micronutrients. As far as availability, it doesn't mean that it can't access it at all, but it just means it's not as available, which is why we want to be sitting somewhere in the Goldilocks zone. Typically, that's between 6.5 to 7.5, unless you're doing other things like the centipede grass, which is a perfect building block to what we just discussed in the last video, because we know that centipede grass doesn't like what? Well, it doesn't like a lot of nutrients, specifically macronutrients. Does not have a large demand for it and does not want it. And this aligns with its preferred state of being in an acidic soil profile. So all this stuff lines up. It makes sense. Like, the more you understand why these grasses want to be in these conditions, and then you have the science that proves it, very simple 5th grade science, might I add, then you can make better decisions out there in the lawn, or at least understand what's going on with your turf when it goes bad, or even when it's doing good. You know why. Now, when your pH is completely out of whack, might need to do some adjustments. But there may be other times where it's like, 6.5. And that doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It's just, you don't even have to rush out there and fix your pH. You just know that you have a 6.5 pH. So with that being said, you know that you probably need to account more for your nutrient availability when it comes to the macronutrient side. That's it. This is the gain understanding to make better decisions. All right. I think we're good on pH. Let's move on to the next one. Next one being MLSN in macronutrients. So the MLSN is your minimum levels of sustainable nutrition. And when you look at your soil test, when you get it back, it's going to say these numbers, right? Here's a good example. Have all these numbers, right? And they're all in parts per million for the most part. And you may be looking at it like, I don't know what that means. This is overwhelming. It's intimidating. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. And the way that we'll streamline this is that we're going to focus on the MLSN chart, which are the fundamental macronutrients that we have seen grass, turf specifically respond to get desirable results, whether it be appearance, growth, root depth, all of that encompassing. So that's why these numbers look the way they are, because it's based on parts per million, but you'll even have to understand the parts per million part. I just want you to remember this chart. Now keep in mind, it is the minimum. So with that being said, the minimum amount of calories that I might need per day to survive might not necessarily be the most ideal diet for me, depending on what I have going on, right? If I'm going on a long ruck march, about to knock out 20K, I probably want to eat more than 800 calories a day, right? So if your lawn is about to roll into a blazing hot summer or a nice cold winter, it's probably going to want more than these minimum levels of sustainable nutrition. But it doesn't mean go out there and triple up everything and go for it. No. Again, this is to gain understanding, to understand if you're seeing something in your lawn that's not responding properly. You can always refer back to this chart and say, oh, well, I got really shallow roots and I'm doing everything right and I have all the cultural practices, but I remember on that soil test, my phosphorus was lacking. So I might want to address my phosphorus in a different way, or it's not really responding to nitrogen the way that I think it should be. And then you go and you look and you see that you have a sulfur deficiency. Hand in hand can respond to different colors. You might need to switch up your nitrogen source. That's what all this is for, is to give you understanding. And when you have that understanding, you come and ask me questions, or anyone on the We Working team, we can better help you because you are speaking the same language. You have those results so it can help us make, like my man Cam always says, data-driven decisions. I hope you understand that that's what those numbers mean. And that's really all I want you to focus on when it comes to the macronutrients. Let's move on to the one that's a little bit more daunting, and it's your CEC. So CECs are really simple. It's your cation exchange capacity. I had a guest on the show a little while ago, and his name is Russell Taylor. He had a really good analogy to help you understand what's happening with the CEC.
So CEC is commonly driven by soil texture, and you covered that fairly well. I'll kind of give you some examples. But CEC is also driven by organic matter. Now, a lot of times when you see CEC, people say, okay, I got low CEC. What can I do about it? Nothing, really. You really can't change. You got a sandy texture soil, you got sand, and you do exactly what you described, and you've got to adjust your frequency intervals and fertilize more often in smaller doses. So to just kind of paraphrase what you said, CEC is your soil's ability to hold, store, and exchange positively charged ions. Now, your positively charged ions are calcium, potassium, ammonium, all those things on the left-hand side of your periodical chart. Just remember, think of CEC as your pantry, your storage space for that plant to feed from. And the smaller the number, the less that soil has to use, absorb, and store. This CEC here that's in the soil test is a 4. This is like a golf course green for me. Normally your CECs, let's say 4 to 10, might be really sandy type soils. Once you get above 10 to in the high teens, those are loamy type soil. Anything above that is clay, unless you have high organic matter. I've seen, and this is very infrequently, where you have a sandy type soil, really high organic matter, and the CEC is actually elevated. So just to frame what you've actually got with CEC. CEC basically measures surface area. So imagine that a sand particle is about the size of a 55-gallon drum, this big drum, right? And imagine a silt particle is about the size of a plate. And imagine a clay particle is the size of a penny. Now, in the volume of soil, if you took that 55-gallon drum, that sand particle, and filled that drum clear full of pennies, filled it all the way up, dumped it out in the parking lot, and spread all those pennies all the way out, imagine how big of a surface area that penny would cover. That's the difference between a clay-type soil and a sandy-type soil, is they have a higher surface area and therefore have a higher cation exchange capacity. And that's it. That's in a nutshell. I mean, the only way you can adjust that is having these organic acids kind of get wedged in there and create storage space. That's CEC.
So I love that analogy, right? It's perfect. Helps you really put a grasp on things, understanding the particle size and how in relation that's measuring the surface area and your lawn's ability to hold on to nutrients. So if you have a sand-based soil and your sand only has 55 drums in it as far as soil surface area, we know that it cannot maintain or hold on to those nutrients as long as a lawn with a nice blend of silt, sand, and clay, right? So with that being said, you can use that information to make sure that you're applying things or the right products that's going to alleviate you wasting your money or doing a damage on the ecosystem, right? It's just dumping and flushing through your soil profile. We're going to use all this information to apply it to choosing the best grass type and building an adequate program, which is coming up next in the next couple of videos. But I promise you, if you hung around this long, I would give you some information as far as where's the best way to go for your soil test. And it's going to be your extension office. that's going to be the best place for you to go. And the reason why is because depending on your soil profiles, like we've been talking about when it comes to CEC and phosphorus availability based on pHs and whatnot, your extension office is going to point you to a lab that they know are using the right extraction methods for your region. Whether it be Malic 3, whether it be the Bray method, whether it be the Olsen method, Malic 2 in some weird circumstances, you don't need to know that. That's their job to know that, the extension office. And then you have other labs that will take the information that you give them based off the region you're in and or are in these different regions to where they can use the proper extraction methods for your region and or the results for your pH, like Waypoint Analytics and Spectrum. Now, the thing is with these soil tests, the cheapest one is probably going to be your extension office. You can find that really easy. All you got to do is put in your county and extension office. Just go to Google, put in county, extension office. Boom, it's going to pop up. You go to the website, type in soil test, and then all your information will be there. You can give them a call if you're confused. Then your Spectrum and Way are probably going to be on the more expensive side. But even with that, when you go to fill out the paperwork, again, it does seem a little intimidating the first time you're doing it. You got to just kind of slow down and read it a couple of times. I'd argue that this is probably like an 8th grade education level. But if you can get through that, you're good to go. Now, if you just don't want to deal with that and you want something like super easy, I would go with RX Soil, right? Ryan Noor, he partnered with them. And what they do is, I'm pretty sure they source all their soil tests through Spectrum Analytics or Waypoint. It's one or the other. But they flatten that curve. They make it a lot easier for you to fill in your information. And when the results come out, they're a bit more, they're in like the reader view. You know how you can switch the website to reader, like availability, the reader view. That's pretty much what they do. And it's the same information, but it's just a little cleaner and easier for you to use. Whichever one you go with, it's up to you. Yeah, I'll drop a link for the RX one down below. It's not an affiliate link, but even if it was, who really cares? With that being said, that wraps this video up. Hang around for the next one. I hope you learned something. Let's get it. Let's go. Let's get this season going. All right. Peace.